If you're struggling to land tech sales interviews at quality companies and consistently find yourself losing out to other candidates in the interview process, then in this video, I'm going to walk you through a proven strategy to network your way into more interviews, get a competitive edge in the interview process, and ultimately get hired. I've helped a ton of reps land top SDR and account executive roles across the industry in big tech at Google, Databricks, Dell, and in the startup world. Let's get into this networking strategy, why it works, and how to implement it. Now, the reason I want you to reach out to SDRs or account executives, sellers at the organization, rather than going right to the hiring manager or a VP of sales is because the SDRs and account executives can refer you from the inside, they can coach you from the inside, they can be your internal advocate, and they're more likely to fight for you and advocate for you and invest in you because they can probably get a referral bonus if you're hired, which for some companies might be a $3,000 referral bonus. I'm pretty sure I remember someone at MongoDB telling me that they'd get $3,000 in equity. Imagine you get the opportunity to do the person referring you a favor, and they're going to be motivated to make that referral bonus, so why not use that to your advantage? Sellers are also closer to the reality of the role and the day-to-day grind, and they have a pulse on the culture, so overall they're going to give you a great inside scoop that's going to help you show up in a precise way and help the hiring manager understand you know exactly what you're getting into. Now, I'll admit that cold calling hiring managers and VPs of sales is a great strategy. It can be very effective to bump you up the candidate list and earn you interviews and give you an edge. And if you're looking for a call script to reach out to hiring managers and VPs of sales, then comment hiring manager call script and I'll share it with you directly. When it comes to reaching out to SDRs and account executives for their warm referral, not all referrals are created equal. You actually want to prioritize top performing SDRs and account executives who probably have more credibility internally, more political capital, and who carry more weight when they make a referral. Those are the ones you want to go to. And ideally, you're going to go to an account executive who's more senior than an SDR, especially an account executive who started with the company as an SDR and got promoted. They're going to have great insight into what it takes to be successful and to get to where you want to go, which is getting promoted from SDR to account executive within a year. So you went on LinkedIn and identified a top account executive at your target company to refer you into the process. Now it's time to book a meeting with them. It's time to set up a networking conversation. And that starts out with multi-threaded outreach across email and LinkedIn. Use Apollo.io's free tier to grab their email and then write them a personalized, relevant, value-driven message to set up that conversation. You're going to want to look at their LinkedIn profile and find something personal about them that you appreciate, something you can acknowledge or something that you can relate to, and put that into the subject line to create a subject line that wouldn't make sense for anyone else. Bring that personalization and acknowledgement into the first line of the email so the rest flows through a rosy lens. Give them a little bit of flattery, admitting that you really want to work at the company and want to follow in their footsteps and learn what it takes to succeed like they have. Call out that you're in the process of applying to the open role and share a mic drop statement, a statement about the results you've produced in the past that are an indication that you're going to deliver in the role. The qualities you possess, highlight some of the characteristics that are going to make you a high caliber candidate to instill some confidence in the person you're reaching out to, that a conversation with you is going to be worth their time, and that you're someone who is referable, who will reflect well on them if they do refer you. You also might want to bake in a little bit of intentionality, sharing a nugget or two on why you're specifically excited about the role and that company when you've got a ton of options in the tech sales market. Then you're going to roll that into an ask for some time, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, lowering the commitment barrier. And your ask needs to be specific. You want to make it clear on what you're going to be discussing. You're going to want to discuss their path to success, what it takes to succeed in the role, and how to put your best foot forward in the interview process. You could drop a statement at the end showing you get the game, saying, if at the end of the conversation you feel I'm a good fit for the role and you do refer me, my goal is to do everything I can to get you that referral bonus. Now, I mentioned multi-threading across email and LinkedIn, because just like a well-balanced investment portfolio, diversifying your outreach across channels, whether it's for a networking conversation, to get an interview and get hired, or to a prospect in a sales role, that's going to bring the greatest return in terms of meetings, conversations, and opportunities. So follow up your email with a personalized LinkedIn request, maybe throwing in the personal nugget of acknowledgement that you found based on your research, and referencing that you sent an email as well. Now, once you've sent the email and LinkedIn request, you're going to want to follow up periodically at a healthy rhythm to create a groundswell and to come at them from different angles and show you're serious, and ultimately this will lead to a conversation. Consider the following cadence. Monday, you send an email and a LinkedIn request. Wednesday, 2 business days later, you follow up with a reply all email, and maybe you leave a thoughtful comment on their LinkedIn post. If they accept your LinkedIn request by this time, you're going to want to follow up with thoughtful messaging just like you sent in that original email, and you might even want to leave a voice note where you can not only add a face to a name, but a voice to a name as well. All right, imagine you reached out thoughtfully across channels at a healthy cadence and you got their attention and you're in a networking conversation. This is the most important part of the whole process. You need to treat that conversation like a tightly run discovery call. Show up with intentionality and professionalism, bring a structure to the conversation, and ultimately earn the right to ask for next steps, which includes a referral, an internal endorsement to the hiring manager and recruiter, and them to coach you throughout the process to give you that insider edge. You also want to set an intention for how you want them to feel, personally acknowledged and seen, confident in you as a candidate, and motivated to refer you. Here's a high-level conversation structure. Start the conversation with a litmus test. Hey Tim, thanks for joining. How's your day going? Based on their response, you can quickly assess if they're in a good or bad mood and their personality style so that you can match them. Mirroring and matching and being a chameleon, adapting to the personality style and mood of the person you're talking to really builds rapport at a subconscious level. Then you're going to build on that rapport by bringing a personal touch of acknowledgement and relatedness based on the research you did on their LinkedIn profile. From there, you want to set a structure for the conversation, take charge, frame an agenda, not to be overly formal, but to show them you mean business and want to respect their time. Tim, we set aside 30 minutes. Just want to confirm, does that work for you? Do you have a hard stop? Okay, perfect. I really appreciate you making time, and I set an agenda for the conversation, not to be overly formal, but just to show that I do want to respect your time and I respect this opportunity. First off, I wanted to share a little bit about why I'm applying for this role, to show you I'm intentional and why I'm going to be a good fit, just so you know if you do decide to refer me, I will be a high caliber candidate that will reflect well on you. And secondly, I have a ton of questions for you about your personal experience, your path to success in this role, what it takes to succeed in the role, the interview process, your experience in that process, and ultimately how to be successful. And by the end of this, if you feel like the conversation went well and you're confident in referring me, it would be an honor. I'd really love that, and we could figure out those next steps. Does that sound good for you? Don't underestimate the importance of showing up with professionalism with someone who's going to refer you. Don't wait until the hiring manager. Instill confidence in the referrer because they're going to be more motivated to then want to invest in you in the process because they think you're going to be successful, and they'll spend more time with you, coaching you from the inside across different rounds of the interview process. Based on the agenda I just framed, it's clear how the conversation will roll. I'll share a little bit about why I want to be at the company and why I'm going to be a good fit. Not being overly salesy, but simply to show them I'm the real deal, and that's going to motivate them to want to invest more in referring you and coaching you from the inside. Then you're going to ask questions about their path to success, because people love talking about themselves, and just by asking that question, you imply they're successful, which makes them feel good. You're going to ask about success in the role, the reality of the role, what their experience was in the interview process, and a little bit about what you can expect and how you can position yourself to be successful. And you also might want to ask them about some of the internal players like the hiring manager and what makes them tick and what they look for in candidates. Having run the conversation with intentionality and professionalism, by the end of it, you're going to earn the right to ask for the referral, the internal endorsement, and ultimately for them to coach you throughout the process. Now, before you make the ask, you want to double confirm, do you get a referral bonus if I'm hired? If that's the case, then boom, you frame your ask saying, I'd love to get you that referral bonus. I feel like I can make this happen, especially with your coaching and endorsement on the inside. So would you be willing to refer me? And because you showed up with professionalism, they're basically 100% of the time going to say yes. In fact, by applying this approach from initial outreach to running the conversation, you're going to leave such a good impression and show so much intentionality, they're probably going to volunteer that they'll refer you and coach you from the inside and even endorse you before you even have to ask for it. So now you've crushed the conversation, you get referred, you earn the interview, you get notified that you're going to have a recruiter screening. They put in a good word internally to the recruiter and even the hiring manager in Slack or whatever their internal messaging system is. And now you're going to have the person proactively hopping on calls with you before each and every round of the interview process. And you're going to gather as much context as possible from them about the person interviewing you and what makes them tick, what they look for, the role and what it really takes to succeed, and what you can be expecting in each subsequent round. And every step of the way, you're going to celebrate your successes with the person who referred you. You're going to nurture that relationship. You're going to share appreciation. And regardless of whether you get the result, which you probably will get that result because you got such an insider edge and endorsement and great coaching from the inside, regardless of that success, you got to remember that relationships are everything in business and in life. So that relationship that you gain from this networking process, showing up with professionalism and intentionality, that is going to be an invaluable asset, especially over time, because who knows where that person will go after this current company. They might move into leadership, go to another company, and you're going to have a lifelong connection and friend if you do it right. All right, guys, now it's time to put this networking strategy to the test. And if you want coaching on the nuances of how to send great outreach to book those networking conversations, how to maximize those networking conversations for referrals, and especially if you want coaching throughout the interview process to show up with precision in addition to the context that you gather from the people you network with, call on me and my Tech Sales Accelerator career coaching programs, where I've helped SDRs and account executives land amazing jobs at top companies like Google, Databricks, Dell, startups, companies all over the industry. I'd love to support you, and I'm confident we're going to get you the results. And imagine you're going for a top cybersecurity company like Rubrik, and you don't even have to network. That's exactly what happened for Max, who's in our Tech Sales Accelerator programs, when I introduced him to a rep at Rubrik who not only referred him, but endorsed him to the recruiter and the hiring manager, so much so that the recruiter actually told Max that, hey, this guy's been bugging me all the time saying you're amazing. I really had to talk to you. And that rep has continued to coach Max, and now he's about to make it to the final round. Imagine I'm at the gym and I see the most beautiful trainer and I really want to ask her out. I could walk up to her right then and there and cold approach, ask her out, shoot my shot, and the probability of failure would be very high. Or I could take a step back and be a little more strategic. I could notice that her other trainer friend seems pretty friendly. I could ask her about her friend who I wanted to talk to and tell her I was interested in her, and if I befriended that girl, she might be willing to stick her neck out and actually make an introduction. If she liked me, if I built some rapport, maybe she would even vouch for me and sell me to her friend. Getting warm introduced and a positive endorsement from her friend is going to substantially increase my odds. This metaphor is pretty guy-oriented, but I will say that I've known girls, friends of mine, that went out with guys who they never would have dated because their girlfriend made the introduction. The warm referral networking strategy that's going to get you your next tech sales dream job is to reach out to a sales development rep or account executive, a seller, and connect with them in a conversation. Build some rapport, instill some confidence, ask great questions, and earn the right to ask for the referral, the internal endorsement to the future hiring manager who's going to bring you on, and then you're going to want to ask them to coach you through the entire interview process. Let's break down why this warm referral strategy is so effective. First of all, when you get referred to the role, your resume gets flagged, and it basically guarantees you're going to get an interview, because companies want to hire people that their best people know. Secondly, you're going to get an edge from the inside. When the person referring you sends a message internally to the hiring manager and recruiter endorsing you and saying you're a legitimate top-notch candidate. You're also going to get their agreement to coach you from the inside throughout every stage of the interview process. As you enter into each stage of the interview process, you're going to work with the person who referred you as your internal coach to give you context as much as possible on the person interviewing you and what makes them tick, what to expect in specific stages of the interview process, whether it's behavioral questions, role-related questions, or a mock sales exercise. And you're going to learn more about the role and what it takes to succeed. And all of this is going to help you create a personalized experience for the people interviewing you that allows for the experience to be unforgettable for them, to help you stand out. And it's going to position you to ask better questions about the role, about the company, about the individual, to signal that you're a high caliber candidate. When you get to the hiring manager, you're going to be able to say, I talked to so-and-so on your team, and it's going to impress them. It's going to show you take initiative, and it's going to demonstrate your ability to SDR your way into networking conversations and relationships with people on the inside. It's the same thing you're going to have to do when you're in your role, SDRing your way into conversations with prospects. And when you're asked the question, why do you want to work for our company? Which is a question you have to knock out of the park that will separate you from other candidates, you're able to make it more emotionally compelling and personal when you can call out that so-and-so who you networked with on the team is an example of the type of person you're going to be around, and that's the type of culture you want to be in, with people who are pushing you to grow, who are like-minded. You can make it a lot more personal when you incorporate that networking conversation into your answer. Definitely don't cold apply to companies, because all you're going to experience is auto rejections and radio silence. In today's competitive tech sales landscape, you have to reach out to sellers at your target companies to get referred and coached from the inside. Otherwise, you're setting yourself behind the competition. But you don't have to reach out cold to the networking targets who are going to give you those warm referrals. You can work with a program like Tech Sales Accelerator to leverage our network to open those doors for you. Feel welcome to book a free strategy session at my Calendly link linked in the description of this video, and I'd love to hop on a call and share how Tech Sales Accelerator can help you hit your unique tech sales goals. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of this growing tech sales community. I respect you for investing in your personal and professional development, and to your success in tech sales and in life. Happy selling and happy living, and we'll see you in the next one.